Good morning, children. Now today in this class we are going to study our second theory, that is the valence bond theory. According to this theory, actually this theory came forward to overcome the limitations of Werner's theory. According to this theory, in this theory it has been said that it helps to understand how the bond formation takes place between the central metal atom and the ligand. Ligand, how it approaches the central metal atom. This ligand gives a pair of electron to the central metal atom. That is why these ligands which we are using are either neutral molecules containing pair of electrons on them or the anionic elements, that is maybe the atom or group of atoms is there. Second thing which we will study in this valence bond theory is that how it approaches. Whenever a ligand gives its pair of electron to central metal atom should have some empty space. It should have some empty orbitals to accept that pair of electron from the ligands, and that way it forms a coordinate bond. In order to get that empty orbitals by the central metal atom, atom has to rearrange its electron. There is a rearrangement of electron that takes place in the central metal atom. Generally, the configuration which we write with these metals, we write the proper electronic configuration. Then we have to see where the shifting of electron takes place in such a way that either it shifts to the some d orbitals or it shifts to some p orbitals like that to get some empty spaces, thereby forming D2sp3 or sp3d2 type of hybridization, sometimes dsp2, then sp3. These types of hybridized complexes has to be formed. With this hybridization, you will see the involvement of these orbitals. These orbitals becomes empty and thereby helps in forming the coordinate bond with the ligands. This part we will study in this chapter, how this rearrangement of electrons takes place. Sometimes it happens that some of the electrons will go and share, not the sharing, it forms a pair with the another electrons of other orbitals. Thereby initially, though which metals were showing some paramagnetic property, may show the diamagnetic property because of rearrangement of this electron. So taking some of the examples, I am going to show how the tetrahedral structures, square planar and octahedral structures are formed. So in this I am going to explain to you each by one example. Now children, we will see first this octahedral complex. How valence bond theory have explained taking different examples and different types of complexes with different geometry. Okay, now first we will take octahedral complex. In this we will see how octahedral complex structure has been formed by chromium, this compound, this example, hexaamine chromium is there, that is chromium 3. Because this is the cationic part, so we will write the name of the metal as it is. So this complex compound we will see. This chromium we will see, we have to next step what we have to see? We have to see the oxidation state of chromium. You now very well know how to calculate the oxidation state. So oxidation state on calculation we found that it is +3. Next step what you have to write is, first write down the electronic configuration of chromium. Chromium is having 24 atomic number, and with this is the electronic configuration of chromium, where initial level, this is the valence bond, but in the inner configuration which is equal to the noble gas will be R1, and then remaining electrons will be 3d5 and 4s1. This you have studied in class 11 in electronic configuration part. Now if chromium is having 3d5, 4s1, you just arrange these electrons in the orbitals. 3d5, that means in 3d orbital 5 electrons has been arranged, 4s 1 electron is arranged, and in 4p there is no electrons till now. Now what is according to the valence bond theory? We have to generate empty orbitals. We have to generate empty orbitals so that ligands can give a pair of electrons to those empty orbitals and forms a coordinate bond. So empty orbitals, before creating an empty, how to create that, So next we will see this chromium has its ionic state, because we are talking about this ionic compound. Chromium having 3 plus, have the ionic charge 3 plus. That means 3 electron has to be removed. So 3 electrons, you can see 1 from the 4s, they have to remove the electron from the outermost shell and having the energy. As it has been filled, on that basis we have to remove the electrons. So 4s 1 electron and 3d 2 electrons will be removed. So now after removing, we found that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 orbitals are free now. Okay, 6 orbitals are empty. Now what this we know that how many ligands has to be attached? 6 ammonia ligand has to be attached to the chromium. So now this you can see this ammonia molecule, one ammonia molecule will give electron, a pair of electron to this one. Second ammonia molecule will give electron pair to this one. Then third ammonia molecule having the electronic configuration here. Then fourth having a configuration here. Then fifth ammonia give its electron, and then sixth ammonia molecule that is present here will give its electron. In this way, all the 6 ammonia which is acting as a ligand here, hope children you can see here. 6 ammonia molecule which is acting as a ligand here has to give its pair of electron to these empty orbitals which has been created. Now after giving this, you will find that now children, I hope that this part is clear to you. In this, the empty orbitals which was formed by these 2 d orbitals and 1 s and 3 p orbitals, electron from ammonia has been shifted to that place. So in this way you can see the only D2, this D2, 1s and 3p orbitals has been involved in forming the complex. Okay, and thus thereby this configuration you will find to be D2sp3 type. Whenever D2sp3 type of configuration is formed, you make it clear that it will always form octahedral complexes. And here also you can see the geometry which can be formed here is an octahedral complex. I will revise this for you once again, children, as how it is formed. Keep chromium in the center, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 ammonia molecules are getting attached to it. You can see 6 ammonia molecules are attached. Now how to get the geometry octahedral, that we will see. Okay, now you can just combine these 4 like this and then arrange this way. You will find that 8 sides will be seen. Now you can see 8 phases are obtained. This is the same geometry which you will get by when we will talk about octahedral complexes. Yes, children. Before moving to the tetrahedral complex, I will tell you one more thing. Then in octahedral complexes, Wellesford theory also told one more thing. He talked about inner and outer orbital complexes. Inner orbital complexes, when you will take inner d orbitals is involved, that means n-1 d orbital is involved, that means d2sp3, that means the d orbital involved will be inner one. Those orbital complexes, he talked about that they are low spin complex. And then the outer d orbitals, that means when we talk about sp3d2, that means the d2 is coming afterwards. When it is coming afterwards, that means after the 4th shell, that is 4 d orbitals are involved in it. Such types of complexes are known as outer orbital complexes, and they show high spin complex. These 2 lines was explained or given by valence bond theory, and this theory was given by Pauling. Okay, Pauling was the scientist who had given this. Now next we will talk about this tetrahedral complex. I have taken the example of tetracarbonyl nickel. Okay, this example I have taken. Now see the oxidation state, here there is no charge present on the complex. Okay, we know that carbonyl group is having no charge. Okay, this is neutral molecule. So nickel ultimately will have no charge on them. So how to frame a tetrahedral complex here? We see that nickel is having atomic number 28. When we write the electronic configuration, we find that argon is the noble equivalent to argon noble gas noble. Yes, and then 3d8 and 4s2 configuration comes here because 28. And we have seen in earlier example chromium was 24, and like that 4 more have increased here. You know that how you will do after 4s1, next electron will be 4s2, then slowly it comes to fill this d orbitals as well. Okay, then in this way. We are studying the above principle and all that we are going to talk about later on. That is not the time to talk. Okay, now this is the electronic configuration. Now how these 4 carbonyl group will settle here? There is only 3 empty orbital. We need the 4th one. We also need one more orbital so that this 4 carbonyl group can come and give its electron and forms a coordinate bond. So in this case, what is happening? The 2 electron from, this is the 3d orbital, this is 4s and this is 4p. 2 electron from the 4s orbital is going and shifting here. Okay, the 2 orbitals from the 4s is going and shifting. So my new configuration will be, you will get one new configuration like this. Now 2 electrons here, 2 already here, 2 already here. These 2 also come and join here. So now this will be empty and this is also empty. Now we are getting 4s and 4p. That means 1s orbital and 3p orbitals are empty here. So 1s and 3p overlap, forming sp3 type of hybridization. When sp3 type of hybridization, that means it is showing tetrahedral complex. In this way, you will see that tetrahedral complex is arranged here. So as you know that there is no unpaired electron left here. So this complex will be diamagnetic. In earlier example, unpaired electrons were present and that was considered to be as paramagnetic. The number of unpaired electrons present decides whether this complex is magnetic or non-magnetic, either magnetic or diamagnetic or paramagnetic. Yes children, now we will talk about our next example, that is square planar complex. In this square planar complex, in this example, we will see how the square planar structure is formed. We will take this again the example of this one, tetracyanonickel, okay, having 2 valencies. After finding out the oxidation state, we will come to know that nickel is having +2 valency. Now here again we will write down its electronic configuration. Nickel is 28, atomic number 28, and the configuration is same as we have discussed in the earlier example. So in this way we will write the electronic configuration first. After writing the electronic configuration, we will find that there is only 3 this thing is available, orbitals, but we need 4. So how here, after getting 4 orbitals, then also we will find that the structure has changed. Earlier example in tetrahedral, we got 4 orbitals, in that the structure was sp3. It was sp3 hybridized structure. Okay, and you know sp3 is always tetrahedral. Here again, nickel, in earlier example in tetrahedral, you might have noticed that there was no, nickel was not having the valency there. Oxidation state was 0 in nickel, for nickel, but here nickel is having +2 oxidation state. So for +2, these 2 electrons which is present here will be removed, because after removing them, then only you will get the +2 state. Now this is the +2 state of nickel, having 2 unpaired electrons. Till now, you can see now also 4 orbitals are available, but this compound will not show the geometry of tetrahedral. It will show geometry of square planar. Now how to get the square planar? In order to get the square planar, the hybridization should be dsp2. It should be dsp2. Okay. So how to get dsp2? This unpaired electron which is present here, it will pair up. Okay, it will pair up and you will get the complex compound. After getting this, you will get this pair. I hope you can have seen this, right? I think this is pairing up. Okay, after pairing up, you can see here by taking mobile here and there, it changes. You can see the after pairing up this paired electron. Now the 5 orbitals are available. Okay, out of these 5 orbitals, what I will show you this after writing this, children. Please cooperate with me. If I will put in this way. Okay, thank you. Now after putting this electron here, now we are getting these orbitals. This was our 3d orbital, and this is our 4s orbital, and this is our 4p orbital. Now one orbital in d section, one d orbital, one s and 2p orbital overlap. Okay, not all 3p orbital. dsp2. Now you will get dsp2 type of hybridization. Here again I am writing dsp2. 1d orbital, 1s orbital and 2p orbitals overlap. When this 2 orbital, you are getting 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 orbitals, and its structure will be square planar. Okay, and this way the different types, how the complex are formed, coordinate complex are formed by the donation of electron pair to the central metal atom, creating vacant orbitals has been given by valence bond theory. There are some drawbacks of valence bond theory which we will discuss, and after that I will explain you about more pronounced, that is crystal field theory. Yes children, now we will talk about some of the drawbacks. We will talk about drawbacks of valence bond theory. Though in spite of doing a lot of good work in these coordination compounds, still some drawbacks were present in valence bond theory. The first drawback was that it could not explain about the low spin and high spin complex concept. This concept was not at all clear by valence bond theory. That is, according to that, some were low spin and some were high spin inner orbital, that is D2sp3 were low spin and DSP2 were high spin. Why it is low spin and high spin concept was not clear by valence bond theory. Second is magnetic behavior of the complex were wrong. According to the valence bond theory, those orbitals having unpaired electrons shows magnetic behavior, and those that are not having unpaired electrons shows diamagnetic behavior or not magnetic property was seen in them. But this part was not clear or was found to be wrong, doing the wrong assumptions in some of the examples. One example of nickel ion was found. It was said that according to the valence bond theory, with the movement of electrons here and there showing dsp2 type of hybridization, and it was said that this complex compound was that is diamagnetic. Magnetic behavior was not shown, but actually when the compound was tested, it was found that it was showing some magnetic behavior. Later on it was said that it can also happen that this electron, instead of going and pairing with one more orbital and giving the vacant place here, in spite of that, this electron was then jumped. This electron jumped from this place to the another place. You can see from here. This electron was moved from this place, that is the 3d orbitals. From 3d orbital is jumped to 4p orbital, thereby creating 2 unpaired electrons. Though the configuration hybridization is same, that is 1d, 1s and 2p was same. Hybridization was same, but it was showing magnetic behavior. That magnetic behavior was only due to the movement of electron to the p orbital, thereby creating 2 unpaired electrons. So this concept was also not clear by valence bond theory why it happened and why some are showing magnetic behavior in spite of having the same configuration. Okay, now and hybridization. Sorry. Now it has been after this next topic, which valence bond theory could not explain the color of the complex compounds. and its spectra related to that was also not clear by valence bond theory. Next, he could not explain about what are weak ligands and what are strong ligands. All these drawbacks which were found in valence bond theory was covered, most of the drawbacks were covered by crystal field theory. And then in our next topic, next video, I will explain to you about crystal field theory.